Boozed and Confused is a comedy and weird topic podcast. Adult language may be used, probably by me. While our episode topics may be educational in nature, we are not responsible if your children start dropping the F-bomb to their kindergarten class. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
We missed you last week. What?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, no. There was a whole ass week that we didn't have anything published.
No, we remember we did those 2 episodes.
Yeah. And that covered while we were gone.
I thought
But
you
then
timed it. I thought you timed it.
No. So we were gone when we did the M86. That was published. We were out of the country having a good old family trip.
Can't confirm this information.
And then we just got back last week.
Can't believe that you're exposing this information to the public.
What am I supposed to say?
Look, we may or may not have flown with a famous international rugby player who I may have spoken to for like 5 syllables.
Matt is basically famous now. He's starting a new life. Yeah. So anyways, we missed you. We thought we would get to shit last week. We did not. So we're coming to you fresh this week. All good with a good new topic that I've been wanting to cover for kind of a while.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, about that.
Yeah. What about it?
Nothing. Just do the housekeeping, and then I'll do my little joke.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. So before we get into today's topic, 3 housekeeping items. The first one is we're on all your favorite social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And if social media is not really your thing, but you would like to send us a message, you can send us an email at boozedandconfusedpodcast@gmail.com. And what else?
The stickers.
If you like the pod,
if you like our pod,
and you would like to support us, the best way that you could do that is by leaving a review or subscribing and following whatever the hell it's called on your platform of choice. Just
tell a friend.
Yeah,
someone that you don't like.
Friends.
Someone that you don't like.
Yeah. If you want to spread some word of mouth, that's also nice. Get your meemaws listening to us. And if you leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast and you take a screenshot of it and you send it to us, we will send you some Boozed and Confused stickers in the mail for free.
Your meemaw might like Carol Ann's potty mouth.
Yeah, she might. I might take her back.
I like that Carol girl. She really says how it is.
I just have to say Starbucks spelled my name correctly this week, and I didn't even spell it for them.
The cat? The cat spelled your name?
Yeah. And it was amazing. I was on cloud 9 for kind of a while. So, yeah. Anyways, the last one is what are we drinking?
Well, I have a can of Kirkland Signature Citra Hop Session IPA. It's an IPA from Costco.
Yeah, and it's actually really good.
It's pretty good. I
enjoyed it quite a bit.
It is a 5%. It's all but 5%. It's 4.9% alcohol. It's a little bitter. And it says on the can that the gravity is 11%.
I don't know what that means.
I'm going to throw this and see what happens.
All right, well, behind the scenes moment, he threw it. Nothing happened.
I really thought that it was going to float or something.
Nothing.
Only 11% gravity.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't.
For all the space episodes that we just did, we are not science people.
I am not a very wise man.
All right, we should probably get into today's episode. What?
Content warning. If you got kids around, I don't know why you'd have kids listening to this show.
Yeah, don't do that.
But this will contain graphic information. We talk about big PP.
God,
Big PP? Small PP.
I You know what's funny is as I was getting ready to introduce this topic, I was like, do I make a big pee-pee joke? And I was like, no, that's immature.
That's what I'm here for. This is all I'm good for.
Yeah. All right. Well, so today we are going to talk about PPP.
Oh,
The Paycheck Protection Program, but we're specifically going to be talking about the fraud and why it's being called the biggest fraud in a generation.
PP fraud.
Yeah, big fraud.
Well, since we're not talking about big peepees, let me just close my laptop and all my notes.
Yeah, you had so many notes.
I had a lot of really good notes.
Yeah, really good
with
notes.
this big peepee stuff.
Yeah. This is great. Just going to be super ad-libbed. So for anyone who, I guess, maybe has been living under a rock for the last 3 years, 2 years? How long has this been happening?
It's been 15 years.
So the PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program. It was is technically a $953 billion business loan program that the feds created under, the Trump administration back in 2020 through the CARES Act, which is the COVID Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And it was specifically created to help businesses and self-employed workers and sole proprietors and nonprofits and, tribal businesses to just be able to keep paying their workers, right? So we didn't have this massive group of people who suddenly found themselves unemployed and, out of jobs literally overnight in some cases.
Well, these people should have thought about getting a job or having a job and getting COVID.
Yeah.
They should have thought about this 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's really all about planning. If they had stopped eating so much avocado toast, they would have been able to continue on like normal through COVID, through business shutdowns, without loans.
This is literally why our economy is why it is right now, because these stupid millennials and their avocados.
And their avocado toast. I will say it is kind of, no, I'm not getting on an avocado toast.
Get on your soapbox
right now. I'm not doing that.
Get on that avocado box.
So back to the PPP. It's like a super low interest rate loan. It's like 1% or something like that. But, the loan itself is about equal to 2.5 times the average monthly payroll costs that you input when you're doing the application. And so the loan could actually be used to cover payroll or rent or interest and utilities. What made the loan itself so enticing, besides the super low interest rate, was that the loan itself could actually be completely or partially forgiven, if the employees were kept employed and the wages were being paid for the employees. And so it was the US SBA, the Small Business Administration, that was heading this up. And the deadline for applying was back in like 2021. So you've missed the boat.
It was like 2019.
God, what a wild last few years we've had. It just doesn't end, does it?
Honestly, I haven't noticed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thinking back on this, how well did this really help the economy? Like, how much did just funneling all this money to these businesses really keep things afloat? Well, some economists have found that the PPP did not really save as many jobs as purported and aided too many businesses that were not actually at any sort of risk whatsoever. So other programs like unemployment insurance or food assistance and aid to state and local governments have been potentially found to be like more reliable or better suited for, helping people than funneling money to companies who then try to funnel it to their own pockets or to their employees. But you can't really measure like businesses that would have closed and, the number of jobs that were or were not saved. So that's the kind of tricky part to measure the success. But
where was this funnel located, and why didn't we get some of this funnel?
Because I don't feel like committing fraud, and getting the IRS on my back.
Whenever you tell me that we have a letter from the IRS,
I get
nervous. A little sweaty.
I get so nervous. When we were getting IRS letters, every time that there'd be like a stimulus check, it'd be like, we would get it through direct deposit, I'm pretty sure, but we'd get a letter in the mail that was like, hey, you're getting this check from the government, and here's what it's about. But we'd get the letter and we're like, holy shit.
Oh no, they figured it out. They got us.
We like are so meticulous about taxes and everything, but I'm just waiting for something to come from them.
Like, I may have fibbed a little bit about the gas miles, and I just wanted to, pay myself back. So like, I may or may not have like said that I drove like 3 times around the earth.
Yeah, that's a tax write-off.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
If Lauren Boebert can do it, like, why can't I do it?
Oh, God. All right. I'm not doing this. You're really tempting me into these little tangents, and I'm just trying to have, like, a good little not tangent-y.
I'm going to get you. You said, I want to be in bed in, like, 20 minutes, and that ain't going to happen.
All right. So, I guess if we're thinking about how effective the PPP loans were and how much it really helped the economy and businesses, I think this is the part where I say hindsight is 2020. Can I say that here?
2020.
Yeah, does that apply?
2020. Because.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the saying, but also because 2020 being the year. Okay, so we're halfway through 2022. It's like June 12th as we record this. There have been so many stories and reports coming out calling the PPP loans like the biggest fraud in a generation. And I don't doubt that like PPP loans helped some businesses stay afloat during COVID. I think there are people that were genuinely helped by these loans, but you also have to remember the news headlines that were coming out when, God, I can't remember what had happened, if it was just like, if it was leaked information or if it was just made public of who actually received these loans, and it came out like massive corporations or, like people that should not have fucking gotten these loans, got the loans and took money away from smaller mom and pop shops that maybe took a little bit longer on the paperwork.
Yeah, it's like you go to Potbelly and get like a nice Potbelly sandwich. Like a nice mom and pop shop from like a Potbelly, and like all like that meat spills out on the side.
I still have not eaten at a Potbelly. I
mean, even before they committed massive fraud, I think I might have been there like twice in my life.
I used to go to Potbelly all the time. All right, so let's talk about some of the people who like maybe helped themselves a little bit too much. So experts say that the theft is of as much as $80 billion.
Oh my gosh.
Or about 10% of the like 800 billion that was actually handed out from these loans. That's on top of the 90 billion to 400 billion that was believed to have been stolen from the $900 billion COVID unemployment relief program. Half of which was taken by like international fraudsters, which is crazy. Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
it's really bad. It's really bad. We're not going to focus so much on the COVID unemployment relief stuff. We're going to talk about the PPP specifically throughout most of this. God, you're so immature. All right. So for a lot of these stories I'm going to go through, you can actually go through like, I think it's like Justicegov and literally just search like COVID-19 fraud. And there's so many like stories of people that they've arrested and like brought charges against who are just complete fucking idiots. Like if you're going to commit fraud, do it in like a not obvious way. I don't know.
Like do it well.
Yeah, do it better. Be smarter. Do better. Anyways.
We need better criminals.
So there's this article in mid-March that comes out from NBC News, and they said that federal prosecutors have so far brought more than 1,000 criminal cases related to fraud losses of over $1 billion, and civil cases have been filed against 1,800 people related to over $6 billion in loans. But this also includes fraud from things like COVID unemployment, so it's not specifically just PPP loans, but it's inclusive of that. So we're going to talk about some of the more notable cases for the PPP fraud.
Let's hear it.
This may come as a shock to people, but there's a lot of Florida cases for some reason or another. I don't know.
Why is it always Florida?
It's always Florida. So the first one that we're going to talk through takes us to good old Miami with a man named David Hines, who's 29, and he admitted to a fraud scheme that netted him $3.9 million, according to his guilty plea. And he said in court papers that he struggled with addiction. He bought a $318,000 Lamborghini, and he also spent thousands on luxury hotels and jewelry and clothing and dating sites. What is he paying
dating
for?
Sites?
Yeah, is he paying for super swipes on Tinder?
What's a super swipe?
I think. Oh no, it's not super swipe. I think it's super like.
Super swipe. It's like where you both swipe on someone and then you get a bowl of soup brought to your door by
super swipe.
by
Stop
DoorDash.
it.
This episode brought to you by DoorDash.
DoorDash is gonna fucking sue us.
We did not we did not pay these people to talk about us on their shit podcast.
On their shitty pod. We're not associated, and also we didn't take any PPP loans.
We've actually lost money since this episode aired.
Yeah, so anyways, the feds obviously came for Hines. They took his car. They took
the Lamborghini.
They took as much money from him as they could. But in so many of these cases, these fucking people take exorbitant amounts of money and then just go do shit with if you have just a normal Joe Schmo lifestyle beforehand, and then you all of a sudden live this very lavish lifestyle where you're staying at the Ritz 3 times a week, don't you think that's gonna set off some fucking alarms? Wouldn't you want to live under the radar a little bit more?
It's what did this guy do before he became a millionaire?
That's a great question. I would love to know, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
I have no answers.
What a loser.
Yeah.
This young fellow is.
Yeah. Sorry, David. Also in Miami, a man and woman admitted to a very complex scheme in which they claimed that they were operating farms with a shitload of employees. But in reality, they gave addresses for small single family homes in the middle of the city. So when an investigator drove to the location of the farm, they found there was no farm. So it was neighbors that went in on this together. Their last names were Stanley and Phyllis. They submitted 4 fraud applications for over $1.1 million. So
was it that easy? Was it that easy to apply for all this free money?
That's what I kind of don't understand. I've been trying to put the pieces together. I think the application itself, if you're a legitimate business, maybe that's what it is. If you're a legitimate business, you should have that information handy, right? But it might take you a minute to go through and verify. And I think that's what a lot of mom and pop shops ran into is they don't have the same accountants that a larger company would have, a Potbelly would have, that could get you through an application pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like their 18-year-old son who's good at math.
Yeah. But if you're just making shit up, then you really don't have anything you need to worry about in terms of cross-reference. So, yeah, I mean, I guess for them it was that easy. There's another Florida case.
Oh my gosh.
Prosecutors charged a man who they say used proceeds from a $7.2 million emergency loan to buy a 12,579 square foot mansion, a Lincoln Navigator car, a Maserati, and a Mercedes-Benz.
At least he was being low-key about it.
Yeah, really modest. And I have to wonder, too, if somebody were to go through with that loan, but then not change a single thing about their lifestyle, maybe like a few upgrades here and there, like a new TV, or maybe you take a trip somewhere.
It's a business trip.
Yeah. Business expense. Would they have been caught? I don't know.
They would still have to pay it back, right?
Sure. Yeah. Theoretically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This one I think is the most wild to me that I've heard, and it's also one of the most fucked up. So a California couple were convicted in June of stealing $18 million, with which they bought 3 houses, diamonds, gold coins, luxury watches, expensive furniture, and a ton of other valuables. And just as they were to be sentenced, they cut off their ankle bracelets and fled, leaving their children behind.
How old were their kids?
I could not find something that confirmed it, but young enough to be called children.
That is a new level of low.
Yeah. And they were captured in February in Montenegro. And the man was sentenced to 17 years in prison, and his wife got 6 years. So, yeah, that's pretty low. Pretty low.
What they should have done was buy NFTs, make that money back, and then give the money back to the government. They would never bat an eye at that.
I read somebody said NFTs were Beanie Babies, but for
neckbeards.
Yeah, but they didn't say neckbeards. They said something else. It was fucking hilarious. I cannot remember what it was called.
Know.
Oh, it'll come back to me at some point, I'm sure.
You know,
it was really funny.
I genuinely felt like we were missing out on NFTs. I was like confused. I was upset. I was like, oh, this is the thing that we're missing out on. This is like the GameStop stock.
I still got that sweet AMC stock. Any day, baby. We're going to the
moon. We've made $8.
Oh, yeah. So a guy named Elias Aldaba, I don't know, it's a very long last name, lives in Washington, D.C., had no criminal record prior to this, but he was charged last summer with trying to steal $17 million from PPP and another program. But he had a degree in like computer engineering from California State University and worked in like a bunch of different tech jobs, and they seized a shitload of property from him, but also a Tesla Model 3. So just trying to fit in with the California lifestyle.
Well, I mean, and it's probably on recall anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So he was released, right? Which is the case for a lot of these people. They're non-violent, so they're being released as they're waiting for trial. But he, as he was waiting, he was charged with the new crime of attempting to defraud a bank while he was waiting for his trial for the PPP fraud, which is great. Super smart. And the next one is also California. This guy named Robert Ben Levy submitted 27 PPP loan applications to 4 banks between April and June on behalf of 8 companies solely owned by him. And in his fraud applications, he represented that each of his companies had 100 employees and an average monthly payroll of $400,000, even though he knew that the companies did not have any employees or payroll expenses. So he fabricated IRS documents that falsely stated each of the companies had an annual payroll of $4.8 million. I just I don't know, man. If I'm going to commit fraud, I don't know. I don't know if maybe it's like dream big and just see what happens because you got nothing else going for you, or would you like just do something small and hope you get away with it because the IRS is too fucking understaffed and has been for decades.
Oh, are they?
Shit.
Noted.
Oh my God, yeah.
As I would fill out the form for the loan, I would write like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm lying," and then just submit it.
See what happens. Because, I mean, if they approve you after that, then...
Well, he was being honest.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
And then in court, my attorney would say, well, he did say he was lying.
Yeah. And you approved him anyways. I think what's really interesting is there's this whole study being done right now, or research that's being done right now, of which types of institutions approved the most fraudulent applications, and they found that fintech companies were like, they made up like 54% of the fraudulent loans that were approved and like handled, versus like other more traditional banking institutions
Yes.
that probably had better vetting. Fintech being like financial. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, I knew that. I was hoping. I was just going to say that for all of our listeners who don't know what fintech is.
Matt just has like these dead eyes staring at me from across the table. Okay. So the last one I think I have is kind of crazy too. So it's this woman named Amanda Gloria who is from like Atlas, Oklahoma. No, not Atlas. Altus, Oklahoma.
Altus, that sounds... Atlas, I would live there, despite the tornadoes.
Yeah. So she admitted that she conspired to submit at least 153 fraudulent PPP applications. She's got a lot of fucking time on her hands.
A lot of balls.
A lot of fucking time on her hands. Seeking a total of approximately $43.8 million on behalf of at least 111 entities. So she was like helping a lot of people fill out these fake loan applications too, which I'm sure she also got absolutely nailed for. So she submitted all these applications. The recipient entities unlawfully obtained approximately $32.5 million in PPP loans, of which she personally received at least $1.7 million from.
That seems like a smarter move, though, where you're like, hey, I'm not going to take the loan, but I'm going to help you, and you got to give me some of it.
Yeah, I don't know. If my name is going on 153 PPP loans that I know are fake as hell,
I would change my
then
name.
I probably would not do it. Yeah.
Get like a fake phone number, fake address, fake everything.
Yeah.
I'd even wear like a little like glasses with the mustache on it
over to cover your mustache.
To cover my mustache.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd never suspect a thing. What I think is crazy though is like this kind of stuff, these individual ones are huge dollar amounts. At least in my mind, like $30 million is a lot of money. But then you put it in perspective, 30 million in just this case versus 80 billion suspected having been just gone for fraud cases. But it doesn't even cover the companies and individuals who got loans that shouldn't have, like Joel Osteen's mega church.
What a good man he is.
Yeah, Joel Osteen is a shitty human being.
When did that hurricane happen?
Years ago.
You remember when he refused to let people use his mega amphitheater church thing?
For shelter.
Yeah. Remember that?
Piece of shit.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah. Yeah, so his church got $4.4 million, and then they paid it back because of criticism. And like we were talking about before, I still won't eat out of Potbelly because of their PPP bullshit. So
Potbelly. That's the only company that I know of because I'm a child and I don't look at business stuff.
Yeah, this next business one is interesting and maybe a good one to end on. So this whole blurb is from, I don't remember where it's from, somewhere in the show notes, maybe the wiki for it, but Businesses with addresses at properties owned by President Trump and advisor Jared Kushner received at least 25 PPP loans totaling over $3.65 million. Of these businesses, 15 reported having no more than one employee each, or they did not self-report how many employees they had. Triumph Restaurant Corporation at the Trump International Hotel and Tower in NYC received a PPP loan of $2.1 million, and it reported having 0 employees. The business later closed.
How's he doing these days?
Which one?
Trump. How's he doing?
Unsure.
How's he doing?
Unsure. The last I read, he threw Ivanka, his favorite child, under the bus for saying that Bill Barr was correct in his assessment of January 6th and the election. So, yeah, I don't know.
Ex-favorite child.
Yeah. Yeah, so on the individual level, there's a website in our show notes called Arnold and Porter. That's like a fraud tracker. I don't think it's I don't think it covers like everything, but there's a lot of stuff on there. So the lowest amount that someone's been found guilty of frauding is like $13,000. That dude went to prison for 18 months, and the highest amount on this tracker, at least, is $9.5 million, and this dude was just indicted like mid-May, like a few weeks ago, so there's no jail sentence yet. But if $13K gets you 18 months, $9.5 million is gonna get you a while.
It's gonna be a little bit more.
Yeah, it's gonna get you a while. So, well, that's today's episode. Don't go frauding the IRS or the U.S. government, because they will find you.
If I've learned anything today, it's that.
Yeah. They even got Al Capone, and they didn't get him for all the shiesty stuff that he did. They got him on taxes.
That's how they get you.
They always know how much money you owe.
It's the clean way.
Yeah. They always know what you owe and how much money you got. So, yeah, that's it for today's episode. If you find that interesting, there's a bunch of links in the show notes. You can read more stories. You can go to justice.gov and just literally Google COVID-19 fraud and read through some of the hilarious stories of people who thought they were going to get away with massive amounts of fraud. But I guess there are other people who are getting away with fraud and are laughing about it right now because they'll never be caught. So, well,
okay. All right.
Yeah, that's today's episode.
I'm gonna stop submitting my document for a loan.
Great. Well, the program I think is closed. So.
No, it was this guy. His name was like, I don't know. He said that he was a loan shark.
What?
Like a loan shark. Like a solo shark. A shark all by himself. He was just trying to like...
I'm leaving this pod immediately.
I'm going to leave a recording, and I'm just going to start talking about stuff.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We release episodes every Monday, usually.
Normally,
sometimes.
Every Monday, except when we don't.
We strive for Mondays. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.